Hey, welcome back to Diabolic Shrimp, the least professional talk show on the internet. I'm your host, best-selling author Josh Grant, and today we have a very special show. We have kind of a double broadcast almost, and so we have two special guests, Dana and Jolene Skvarek, and they are the creators of Vivivica Studios. So Vivivica Studios is an independent novel publisher based in Phoenix, Arizona. Vivivica Studios does everything from picking up manuscripts to editing to cover design. Vivivica Studios publishes an array of titles from mystery, fantasy to young adult and everything in between. Vivivica Studios, it's hard to say after a second. Vivivica Studios is known for its Japanese light novel series, The Timeless Zodiac, which we'll get a chance to talk about today. Written by Dana Skvarek II and illustrated by Jolene Skvarek. All of our titles are bravely edited by Jeff Gosen. And so Dana Skvarek is an accomplished screenwriter and novelist with over 15 years of experience. His first novel was published when he was only 16, which encouraged Dana to continue to make a career out of writing. His latest work includes the Timeless Zodiac series of light novels, as well as many other new titles. And Jolene Skvarek is the one who had Vivivica Studios as her brainchild. Jolene is an America mangaka, YA author, and former comic book artist. Jolene has worked for companies such as IDW, 215 Inc., and Fubar Press. When Jolene isn't working on freelance manga gigs, she's writing her next novel or drawing the Timeless Zodiac. And I've had the pleasure of getting to work with Jolene on some books as well, and I'll show you some of her work here. So we've got like the Onion Knight she illustrated for me. She's done all sorts of cool manga drawings as well, and so I've had the joy of that. I've had the joy of getting to read some of Dana's novels as well, and so we'll get a chance to talk about all that. We'll get a chance to play some games, but they've been waiting in the wings for a bit, so let's go ahead and bring them on. Dana, Jolene, hey, how are you?
Good. How are you?
Oh, I'm doing lovely. It is great. It is honestly great to have you on. I only got to show off some of your work just briefly there, and we're going to get a chance to talk about the Timeless Zodiac, which is actually kind of how I found both of you. Actually, I actually looked at that one originally before I actually read any of your other works, which are excellent as well. So we'll get a chance to talk all about that. So let's dive on in a bit though. So you created Vivivica Studios, and I've said it enough now. So Jolene created Vivivica Studios. Okay, that's good to know. And so tell us a bit about your studios. Tell us a bit about it.
Well, the name Vivivica is actually Latin for revival. So I wanted the studio to be like a revival of comics and book media that just wasn't really being published as far as I saw, because I have had about 10 years or so in the comic book industry. So I wanted to do something better than what everybody else is doing, a little more what I thought should be out there.
Nice. Okay. And so what would you say is like, what would you say then is like the vision for that? So you say it's better. So what kind of direction did you want to take?
Honestly, publishing more American manga type things, just because that really didn't have a platform. I like those titles better because they're more geared towards young adults, teenagers, and kids. Kids are walking to comic shops and they're hit in the face with like Witchblade and a bunch of really, honestly, a lot more adult type titles, which like don't look little child. So I wanted to do something a little more better, I guess.
More better.
Better. Right. And so how did so then Dana, how did you end up getting involved?
Well, I've been an author for many years. My first novel, like you said, I wrote when I was 16, and I went through the traditional publishing route, where you have to find a literary agent and you have to get everything edited and proofread, and it really is a pain in the butt, and it's geared to keep authors out of writing. It really is, and it's not really friendly toward the independent author. So when Jolene had the concept of Vivica, I was massively supportive of it. Said, yes, we want to get indie writers who can't go that route because they'll never get accepted, but they have great stories.
Mhm.
Our first publication was an anthology. I can't say anthology.
Yeah.
First novel, it was an anthology of horror stories,
Yeah.
and we got some incredible submissions.
From
We
all
ended up,
over the world too.
yeah, from all over the world,
Nice.
and some really great artists. We worked with some writers, and we just put them together with other artists, and we ended up with a great product. And it really inspired us that yeah, we can do this, not just our own stuff, but opening up to helping other people get published too.
Nice. And so you kind of spoke to like some of the challenges of breaking into writing, right? I felt that 2 years ago. I was trying to go through agents and all that, and and it wasn't necessarily like a great market for the indie author, like you said. And so, but there's a lot of challenges to creating your own studio. So what were some of the big challenges that both of you faced in like creating this like brand new thing and going in a new direction?
Well, honestly, so I had done all of my stuff was freelance before this. So when we first started Vivica Studios, people would come up to our booth at cons and be like, "So you're gonna be doing your own stuff now, huh?" It wasn't really well accepted. It was awkward. It was an awkward transition into that, and I think we're still trying to find our feet.
Yeah. People like longevity, we've noticed. They like to see companies that have been doing it for 50 years and go, oh, Marvel, I've heard of them. I'll read their stuff. Or, Top Cow, I've heard of them. I'll read their stuff. Penguin Publishing and Scholastic, and whatever. All these different publishing houses that people have heard of. And it was harder because we would do events and they would come to our booth. They'd look at our stuff and just walk by because they'd never heard of it before. And then after a few conventions, after a few years, they started coming by and going, oh, hey, I happened to pick up book one of The Timeless. Now I see you have more. I'm going to buy that. Oh, I really love that story. And they started to get to know us and get to know our studio. And that was a big thing, but it took time.
Yeah, we've been really blessed with a local convention that has us as guests every year. So it was like last 10 years. I missed 1 year because I was in a car accident. But yeah. So so being a guest helps, promotion and stuff. And panels really help. I hate panels, but
yeah. Oh, now you're on a panel too. So right now, just checking. So like, what would you say like over the course of like you doing this, like you kind of talked about like when people started to get to know you, it's a great feelings, right? So like, what would you say is like one of for both of you, like your kind of favorite project that you've had a chance to work on so far?
Together or
either way.
Okay, well, that's a tie.
It doesn't have to be all right, what's one of your favorites? Sorry.
Oh no, it's a tie. My first one. Okay, so my tie is The Onion Knight, which I love.
Yes.
Yeah.
It was so fun. It's so creative. It was just so cool. And The Time of Zodiac. He will email me little sections to read, and I'll just like cry.
So well, and once again, that's kind of like how I like really looked into both of you. Actually, I mean, you both came to Diabolic Shrimp, which was my site of trying to do similar, like what you're doing is like trying to support indie authors, especially, and but like Timeless Zodiac was definitely like when I looked at it and it was just like, oh, this is my kind of thing, this is what I like to read, and that's kind of where we went from there. And yeah, Jolene mentioned like The Onion Knight, it's like I had a blast working on that. I wrote that. It was like a children's poem in college, and I wrote that and reached out to Jolene, and she drew that. So check it out if you get a chance, because that one's it's up for a Caldecott, which is the most prestigious children's book award. And so yeah, and we'll know in a few months. So we'll see. What about you, Dana? What's been some of your favorites to work on here?
The Timeless has been one of my favorites to work on because I get to work on it with Jolene. I'm really bad at collaborating when it comes to books and writing. So it was great to be able to bounce ideas off Jolene. Hey, here's what I'm thinking with this and that character. Some of the characters that she created that we end up putting on the covers, like Ares, which is on the first cover over there. Some of the characters that she created really spoke to me, and I ended up writing these stories based on these characters that she had just drawn for fun. I think she's digging through trying to find it. It was really great having that inspiration to look at. Oh, here we go.
Here's the originals.
This is the original.
Oh, so cool.
Ares the Ram. And when I first saw that, I said, that's really great. There's a story there. And then she created Taurus, the bull.
I love it. Yeah, and we're like, you're actually kind of answering one of my later questions, and we'll dive deep into that timeless zodiac, because that was one of the things I was fascinated about, kind of like which came first, like the drawing or the story. So we'll dive into it in depth in just a few minutes. So that's so cool though. It's like that's fun to go off of, like that inspiration through drawing and the collaboration. That's what I loved about Timeless Zodiac and seeing your work there is, and I don't think I got a review up for that one yet, so I would love to actually. But just seeing that collaboration between that like manga and actual like novel too, and like the combo. And so tell us, like, now you two are so creative. You're not only just writing and drawing, but you're both working on a TV pilot called Mortal, right?
Yes.
All right. So what can you tell us? I know it's in the works, so it's like, there's not necessarily, you don't have to like super elaborate, but what can you tell us about it?
Well, Mortal is a project that I've been working on with the gentleman that created Randy Rogers for 15 years. He contacted me at 2 a.m. 15 years ago. He had seen a short film I did, and he said, I'm putting together this project. I'd love to have you direct it. And we've been trying to make it for 15 years. And just recently, he was able to get all the ducks in a row and contacted me and said, hey, I'm ready. Let's go. So Jolene and I drove out to New Mexico, met with him, had lunch, talked about details. And it's a sci-fi. It's actually really timely because of everything that's going on in culture, COVID, and all that's going on. It kind of really plays with the story that he wrote 15 years ago.
Interesting.
So we're producing this pilot, putting this pilot together. It's a proof of concept that he's arranging pitches with other studios and other production companies to try to get this on the air, whether it's a streaming service or a major network. So we're really excited. And we've had some hiccups, not to be, it's pretty much expected, but everything else is going really well, and we're really excited about it.
So cool. So I'll be looking for that. It's like, so where would you say, like, I know like I said, I know you can't necessarily elaborate on a lot of it, but it's like, so what would be like a channel that you think it would fit well on?
The CW.
Okay, sweet. Okay, I was C-SPAN. No, it's a riveting psychological drama about formats.
On the CW, I think it would fit there, but it could also be a Hulu series, Netflix series, Amazon. I mean, a sci-fi channel. It could really be on a lot of them. We're kind of pitching it towards CW and Warner Brothers if we can, but like I said, our executive producer is setting up pitches with a lot of different companies. Anywhere it lands, we'll be very happy.
Yeah, that's exciting. So, okay, well, and I know you guys are in the midst of casting still and things for that. So it's kind of the early stages. We'll keep going. I know it's a lot to have to put together. There's a lot of moving pieces. So groovy. Okay, so here we go. We're going to dive in and talk a bit about your book and talk a little bit more about Vivivica Studios. And so, but first off, since you're like the dynamic duo, you're married and you're creating things together. So we're gonna play a little bit of the newlywed game. They play this at weddings, and so what's gonna happen for our audience to know too, if you've never played this, like each of you is gonna have one shoe from the other person in one hand and one shoe from yourself in the other hand. Okay, so do we have our shoes? Yes. Okay. So which one is the Jolene shoe? All right, cool. Hey, well, there you go. All right, and then which one is the Dana shoe? Okay, so Dana's got the slipper. Okay, got it. And so what's going to happen is you guys got to churn a little bit away from each other because you're not supposed to really know each other's answer. You don't have to be all the way away. It's okay. And I'm going to read a series of questions, and you're just going to rate. I mean, it's going to be kind of fast a little bit. So you're just going to raise up which person you think that question pertains to, and we'll see how well you know each other. This creative duo, you've been working together for a bit. So here we go. You ready? So which of you two is more organized? Who's the organization? Okay, good. Okay, they know each other pretty good so far. All right, who of you two is the more creative? You have to choose, Jolene. You got to choose. Okay. Sorry, I'm really evil making you do this. All right. So if this person left, Vivica Studios would fall apart. Aw. And then if they were a character in your books, this person would be the villain. You'll have to watch this later. You'll get to see what the other person said about you. All right, who has the better humor? All right, and last one. If this person were an anime character, this person's ultimate weapon would be a slide whistle. All right, awesome. You can put the shoes away. You can put them on if you want, if you're wearing slippers. I don't know. So let's dive in. Let's talk about the Timeless Zodiac here. So the Timeless Zodiac is an exciting, it's like a fantasy series, but it's also kind of fits a little bit into like the real world. And so I'll give us our first lines from the book. If you've been with me before, I love to always add. I read the first lines of any book, and I add, and then the murders began, because it always makes it more exciting. So yeah, let's get it up here actually. So Timeless Zodiac. Sorry, I gotta find it for a second there. That's why we're the least professional talk show on the internet. And so. Timeless. There we go. I'll show it to you larger. So the Timeless Zodiac is it's exciting because it's got pictures. It's kind of like part manga. It's part novel, and so you described it as a Japanese light novel. So here we go. Here's the first lines, and I'll add that, and then the murders began, because it makes it more dramatic. Even though this one already is super exciting right from the get-go. So. Every age in ancient darkness emerges to wipe clean the civilizations of humanity, and 12 immortal, timeless beings raise up new champions to fight the chaos. Paris, France, lies in ruins, while monstrous beasts from the shadows dig beneath the city, seeking a dormant evil. And then the murders began. I guess that was more of a description versus the first lines, but it's still exciting. So you got this this kind of exciting immortal battle happening in the Timeless Zodiac. I'll also kind of show you you have an alternate cover for it as well. So you have all these awesome, interesting characters that lead into this. So I'll bring us back here for a second. So tell us about the Timeless Zodiac.
Well, it follows 12 immortal, timeless beings raised up.
And then the murders began.
It's an allegory, and we're using the characters, the 12 zodiac, but we're taking not just the Chinese zodiac or just the regular like a Greek mythological or Roman zodiac. We're taking different stories from history and intertwining them into these 12 beings that have been sent to help humanity in times of need throughout history. So, for instance, Taurus the bull that we showed earlier, we describe how he was actually the bull that Hercules had to wrestle in one of the feats. And we go through all these different characters and go through different myths where they could be applied, even if there aren't normally, and kind of pull that through and create our own little mythology in a way that all these stories and myths that have happened throughout history in Greek, Roman, Japanese, China, whatever it is, they all come back to the timeless. And they're all just different cultures repeating the same stories and giving them their own little flair, but it's these characters that were always there throughout history. So it's kind of fun to play with that.
So cool. So all right, so we kind of talked a little bit about this earlier, but or just now too. Like, what was your inspiration for writing the series?
Well, Jolene, and I don't remember why you drew Ares.
Because I wanted to.
Okay. Best answer.
Look a little closer, easier to see. She drew this really incredible picture of Ares the ram.
My style was a little different.
It was a little different back then. And it really inspired me to write a story. And I asked her, can I write a story based on it? And she said, well, it's just a drawing, sure. And we started coming up with different scenes, and it started weaving together. And we said, what if we were to try to make a comic book? And that didn't work. That was horrible.
No, we had a failed webcomic.
Yeah, failed.
After about one issue, we found out that politics are not that interesting.
No, and that I was boring drawing or writing that kind of.
Actually, no, we had stuff. 2 issues.
We did.
We had 2 issues.
They were very boring.
Mm-hmm.
And then we decided, what if we did a light novel where she would, illustrate, where she would not only do the covers, but she'd also do some of the interior artwork, just like a normal Japanese light novel. And I would do the writing, and we would bounce the ideas off each other. And that turned out great. I mean, she ended up coming up with some really wonderful art, and I ended up doing the writing, and we ended up getting a following of like 8 to 12-year-old children, which I did not have.
10-year-olds were like, I want this to be that way.
Yep, we have
so cool.
A little army of kids that have come over to our booth, and it's so great. And that's not what we wanted, but it's great. We're gonna like it. So
okay, the ones that they'll have a lifelong following because of that.
Yep.
Started when they're little.
Yeah, so like I have to find these like what you call your boring comic though, because it's like I've read both of your writing and I've never found it to be boring. It's you both are excellent writers, and I love your creativity. So I mean we've kind of talked about this, but like you said you started with Jolene's drawing and you kind of went from there. Is that still the process, like going forward with the series?
No, we actually, so luckily for the second one, is it this one?
I think that's the third one.
So we were in Japan for a honeymoon last year, and Dana took a bunch of notes while we were in Japan to write this one.
The third book, right?
The third book. So it doesn't always happen. For me, I'll read what he sends me. I'm like, I just want to draw every scene. Every scene is so cool. And I can't. It's so hard for me to choose a scene to draw because I'm like, I want to draw it all.
So what goes into that choice then? Like, how did you choose which scenes to draw?
Sometimes it's how lazy do I feel? If we have a deadline for that book, because sometimes we're crunched and we're trying to get out before conventions. So sometimes our books get a little rushed, and I don't like that, but it happens.
It's the industry sometimes,
Yeah.
But so you just picked all the ones that were like there was a circle, so you just drew the circles. Triangle.
Oh well, this one's the easier one. This is an easier scene to draw. I'm going to draw that one.
Yeah.
So and I don't want to color this like for the audience. If you haven't read this, like don't take that as like the drawings are bad, like because like I said, that was my first exposure to your guys' work was actually your drawings, Jolene, and that's why I've worked with you. I love your work and I love your art, so like how did this series, I mean we just talked a little bit about that, but it's like how did this series change over the course of you writing it and drawing it?
Well, I think the first novel was very much, I looked at her art, I loved it, I wrote a story.
Mm-hmm.
and we talked about the story, make sure that she was happy with it. The second book, we collaborated a lot more on, and I really did send her piece after piece. Hey, I wrote this part of a chapter, read it. And a lot of times she'd say, oh yeah, that's great. I don't like it. You did.
When?
And then when I was writing it.
I don't remember that.
But then we would sit down and discuss it and make it better. and make the whole process, or when we were deciding what characters should look like. Obviously with Aries, she drew it and I loved it. With Taurus, she drew it with my input. With Leo the Lion, she drew the character with very little input from me, and it turned out just absolutely amazing. And I didn't describe the character until actually she had given me the artwork, and then I went, okay, great, write what the character looks like. So, but especially with book 3, even though we were inspired being in Japan, we really did work together. Sitting on a bullet train for 5 hours, we were able to collaborate and talk and say, what should happen next? What about this? What about that? And I think that's worked out pretty well for us.
Yeah, poor Jolene. She gets bombarded with I sent her when we first worked together. I just sent her this like base thing, like kid with red shirt and like white jacket, and she sends me like within like half an hour or something. She sends me something like this, and I still have it sitting over here. But it's like, oh, I wish I had that drawing capability. I don't. But so very like so. You call this your flagship series, right? And so do you intend to branch out from it, like and write some like side stories or connect like alternate series to it, or how many do you want to do with the series?
Well, we have planned how many books?
6 books.
6 books.
Yes.
And cool. We have one manga series that will actually take place before the series. So it'll be Stuart's in ancient days. Right?
Ancient days of Atlantis.
We'll show the fall of Atlantis and why it fell and how it happened.
Awesome.
So it will be not a light novel, so it'll be more work for me.
Okay. Well, I'm well, and you're up to it's up to 3 now that have been published for Timeless Zodiac. So nice. Okay. So, and like stepping away from that, I mean, both of you have written novels. So, and I just want to highlight that we'll get to that in a future episode of Diabolic Shrimp. And I wanted to focus a bit on Timeless Zodiac, this one, but if you can write in like an existing series, if like, a TV studio or movie or book group or something, like they came to you and said, hey, I want you to write the next one or work on the next one. In your case, like Jolene, I mean, you write as well, but you also like to do art. So if either of them came to you with wanting cool story idea or something, what would be a series you would just love to work in?
An existing series?
Yep, an existing series.
Come on,
I don't know.
Have a favorite show.
I watched like one show. It's not even. It's ending.
Yeah.
So if you had to create the sequel to that show, what would it be?
How Supernatural didn't suck anymore.
There we go.
Yeah, there we go. How you can't make any more Supernatural though, because I'm still trying to catch up. I'm only like 5 seasons in, and I get up there and I just I get defeated.
That's the good part.
Yeah.
It gets worse. So,
yeah.
Yeah.
So what about you, Dana?
I don't know, an existing show would be fun to work on.
Well, it doesn't have to be a show. It could be like a book series or a movie series.
Author Richard Starking's a friend of ours. He's got a series called Elephant Men that for a while was going to be a movie, and then it didn't happen.
It's a graphic novel.
It's a graphic novel. It's really interesting. I really love it. I would love to work on that as a film. I would actually love to turn that into a film or a show or something. But the writing on that is excellent. The art is pretty good. He works with a lot of different artists on different issues. But that's one of the ones that I would actually love to work on.
Interesting. Okay, sweet. So, and what was his name again?
Richard Starkings.
Okay, cool. If you want to check out some of his too. So now we do want to focus back to Timeless Zodiac. We have some pages that we get to dramatically read together. I get to be your characters here. So I'll have to dust off some of my rusty acting skills or something. So Dana, you get to be our narrator today. So this is from Timeless Zodiac Book 1, and I'm gonna try and keep up here because it's over here. You can't see it. So are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right. I have a story to tell,
said the man with bull horns on his head. His ancient but fair eyes gazed across the battlefield as he took in the destruction and horrors of war before him. To his left stood another man, far younger at 35 years than he, whose age was quite literally timeless.
This is Paris?
Asked the second man to the first.
Was Paris.
The horned man replied in his deep, resounding voice.
I never thought I'd see it like this. No one ever does. Before I tell you the rest, you must believe me. There is no time to waste.
The horn-headed man stepped down from the rubble that hours ago was a bakery on the outskirts of downtown Paris, France. Without looking where he was going, he stomped on bricks and baguettes alike. All the while, the other man stared out over the city.
Taurus?
He asked.
Can this be stopped?
The larger man, Taurus the bull, the zodiac, the timeless, an eternal, immortal being, whose human-like eyes had witnessed the birth, the very galaxy he now shepherded, stopped short of crushing a burnt and broken mobile phone beneath his feet. As he looked back at the smaller man, he noticed just how frail the human body really was.
It can.
He assured his tiny companion.
But you said it never has.
Dun dun dun.
And then the murders began. I love it. That was fun.
Just kill everybody.
Yeah.
So
everyone dies.
So if you at home are looking for honestly like just a really awesome like just like you guys said, like splicing of that like history and fantasy and just seeing how that works. If you love things like, you know, similar to like Rick Riordan in a way, right? It's like that blending of mythology and reality, then definitely check out the Timeless Zodiac. If you love manga too, it's got that element to it as well. And so how else, like for both of you and for Vivivica Studios, like how can we support you?
Buy our books.
That's it.
Yes.
Website, share with friends on social media.
Mm-hmm.
If conventions start up again, come say hi, and we'll give you a bookmark.
I don't have any bookmarks.
Yeah, we'll give you a bookmark. But yeah, go check out our books. Check out our website. We're on Amazon.
Mm-hmm.
We sell most exclusively there because it's so easy to do. And then, if you like it, leave a review.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely, reviews help.
That's
Always.
Good. Yeah.
Groovy. And just easy way for people to find it. If you're watching this, like down below in the link, we have both Dana and Jolene's author pages on Amazon. We also have their link to Vivivica Studios, which has their books and especially the Timeless Zodiac, which we talked about here today. So Dana, Jolene, good luck with TV Pilot. Good luck with Timeless Zodiac and your other works. I'm excited to always read and see more from both of you. So I'll be excited to see this TV Pilot when it gets picked up. So well, it was a blast to have you both on. Yeah, go back and watch later and figure out what the other person said about you with their slipper. You know, you guys can fight about it later. So it was a pleasure to have you on.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
So That was Dana and Jolene Skvarek. Like I said, all their works are down there in the description. So go down there and check it out. The links are right there for you. If you want to support Diabolic Shrimp, we support things like ocean exploration and childhood disease research through the funds I raise through this and my books as well. And so you're welcome to check out my books and comic books down there in the description as well. And if you'd like to be on the show, come visit diabolicshrimp.com. So it was a pleasure to have you. This has been Diabolic Shrimp. Have a good night.